I'm Carolyn Schneer from Washington, D.C.
And I'm Dan Munford from the UK.
Well, Dan, it is so great to see you today. Here we are in the middle of the holiday season, and here in the U.S. at least, retail is doing strong. How about over by you?
Well, Europe's going through a difficult patch. I'll be honest, but this is always a good time of year for retailers, right?
Exactly. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. So I'm just going to jump right in and introduce today's retailer guests because I'm really excited to talk with them. We're going to talk with two leaders at Nouria Energy Corporation. In fact, recently named Convenience Store Decisions 2022 Chain of the Year. And Nouria is headquartered in Massachusetts, which is my home away from home. It's where my extended family lives, and we go up every summer. Beautiful stores. And earlier this year, we featured Nouria in Global Convenience Store Focus, which is a beautiful story. I'd invite everybody to check it out.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. I mean, this article, Carolyn, had huge response on our, in terms of readers on our Global C-Store Focus site, with good reason, because if you're really trying to, write the convenience playbook in terms of how to build a brand, how to develop proprietary products, how to focus on female customers and bring more of those into your store, how to do it all and really grow a business. Incredible story. This is what Nouria are doing, so delighted to have the chance to speak to them with you today.
Most definitely. I would like to invite you both to come on camera. We have with us Tony El-Nemr, the founder and CEO of Nouria, as well as my friend for many years, Joe Hamza, who is the Chief Operating Officer and Head of Retail and Marketing for Nouria. Tony and Joe, welcome.
Thank you, Carol.
So it's great to have you with us.
So, thinking about hi, Tony. Hi, Joe. Thinking about the, the story, the Nouria story. Maybe I could put the first question to you, Tony. So, if we look back a few years, you've got a big business. You're up to 170 sites now, aren't you? But you've, historically, the business has flown several brand flags, hasn't it? That was where the business came from, which is very normal in our sector. And then you had the vision of creating the Nouria brand. Can you tell us a bit about the company, how it started and how it evolved, just to give us the sort of origin story and where you came from?
Sure. I immigrated to United States in 1983. I was 19 years old. I came to the States alone to attend college. I went to Northeastern University for mechanical engineering. And while I was in college, I worked at a gas station that fell in love with the concept of the business. In 1989, I bought my first location as a dealer, a small bay operator location with a 4-footer rack of candies. That's where the convenience stores used to be in the 1989. Through the years, I started to grow the company because I had a vision from the beginning to build a multi-generational company that sets the standards in guest service and team member satisfaction, making us the store, the employer, the partner, the supplier, and the neighbor of choice. Through the years, I stayed as a dealer till around 2006. In 2000, and through the years as well, that the companies and the market, the convenience market has evolved. And we were nimble enough to change with the change and adapt to the new needs for our market. With that in mind, we developed the company values that aligned with our mission. Our core values that help keep our culture positive, strong, and highly engaged is by educating, by empowering, by inspiring, by incentivizing, and by instilling accountability at all levels in our organization. That's how our company grew through the 33 years. That's how we remained bonded to the same ideals that we have made us successful. Is the passion of delighting our guests and caring for our people. Our people today, we have strong 1800 personnel. They feel that we are a family business, even though we run a big company. Today, we continue this journey with a mission to deliver ultimate guest experience, creating delight with every visit. As you know me, I traveled enough to see the changes, and with the teams and leaders that surrounded by myself, especially Joe, we became who we are today.
Well, it's a heck of a story. I mean, Tony, I remember you obviously coming on many of our European events where we were looking at, best practice in Europe, and Carolyn, you can tell that that some of those ideas, resonated with Tony, and you can see them, and certainly you can see them playing a part in the Nouria energy story. So I think I mean, first up, we've all watched the video of the background of the business, Tony, and first up, massive congratulations to what you've done. Maybe Carolyn, you'd like to pick up from here.
Oh, sure. So I know you started with, and this is just me, I've read your article, I know a little bit about the background and everything. You started with branded sites, and as Dan, you mentioned in the beginning, slowly transitioned them over to Nouria sites. So with that, Joe, do you want to talk about that a little bit? Talk about how that rebrand came about, how you went from multi-branded, multi-flag sites, and still have some, I think, to the brand that you are now. And what went into that? I'm sure a lot of culture, a lot of internal. How did you get to where you are right today?
Sure. Thank you, Carolyn. So I'm going to tell a little story. When I started with the company about 6 years ago, our company was much smaller at that time. I talked to Tony, he shared his vision with me, and I loved the vision. I loved where he saw the company in the future. So literally before I came even to the office, I spent a couple of weeks visiting stores and meeting with our store managers and associates. At that time, the company or the Nouria Energy, the brand that is, was only a corporate name. It wasn't really a customer-facing brand. So our locations were referred to by the fuel brand they offered. So what I took from the field were two important observations. Number one, we had great locations and awesome, friendly field staff. And the other thing is, when I asked our managers and our associates, what is it most important? What do you want us to improve? The most common answer was really education and training. Where we started is at the core of the company, basically our people, right? Because we wanted to define what the culture values were, right? And educate, empower, inspire, incentivize, and instill accountability at all levels. And we felt that, before we can ask our people to deliver on our aspirations as a brand, we need to ensure that they were educated on the mission, right? And before they could be empowered to make decisions, we wanted to make sure that they understood what it was that we were asking them to do. We also wanted them to be to inspire one another to meet again our objectives, and we wanted to have the right incentives for them. And of course, at the end of the day, we all wanted to hold one another accountable to our roles and responsibilities. And we wanted to ensure that our team members were really engaged and understood what our mission was, into turning again the Nouria brand aspirations into reality.
So Joe, just let me just because not everyone in the audience will have been to one of your sites. Can we perhaps just show the two pictures that we began with? So really, you know, thinking about how the Nouria brand evolved. If you could show the picture with the fuel brand, Nick, that's it. And then we can see the Nouria store at the back of that. And then we can see that, if you like, what it looks like when we have the fuel branded Nouria as well. Can I just ask, you know, what happened? What was the experience from your Nouria Energy's point of view when you did that? You know, obviously you've done this to some of your sites. What happened?
As we know, you know, when you have multiple brands on the site, that creates a lot of confusion with our guests. And we all know that the first thing customers see is what's a Highline sign. And that obviously resonates with them, and that's how they view the brand. So we wanted to ensure that we had consistency, throughout our locations, starting from the street sign and canopy to the store interior.
Well, and I think to that end, it's something that we've heard time and time again is when a customer is driving by, if they see a Shell, which is what we saw in that photo, if they see, you know, an Exxon, and then they're like, wow, that was a great store. Those Shell employees were really excitingly nice. I loved being in there. And meanwhile, it's Nouria. Those are Nouria employees. Those are your fans, your biggest fans inside that store. And, you know, and Shell is getting all the credit for it, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's also to that end, I can see why you would like to do that, because you're also very active in the community. But we can get into that later as well. But yeah, so you are getting the credit for all the training, the education, and the values that you share by branding that as Nouria.
And that's really shown now in terms of how customers view us, obviously through the communication that we have directly with them today, where before, you know, we couldn't do the things that we're doing today. You know, for example, we couldn't have really driven the message about our values and mission, vision with our own people, without a brand. So that's why it was critical for us to make sure that Nouria had its own brand and built on that brand through, again, the relationships that we build over time with our customers.
So before we move on, I wanted to really quickly also just say, so you have two branded sites now, and the rest are working their way there. I know you have a lot of contracts, I think, as well.
Well, we have a lot more than that. We're actually up to 14 now fully branded sites. And we continue to do that. We have over 25 projects next year between rebrand and NTIs. And that actually might be more, depending on how fast we can build them, to be honest, because that's been an issue with the supply chain, trying to get new stores built.
So just thinking about how that's taking shape, you know, we can understand the power of what you're doing with the Nouria brand. What about the proposition in terms of food service and Nouria Cafe, and you know, what's the strategy, what's the vision behind that?
So again, the vision basically is to continue to build on the brand we're creating and the brand that we're positioning in our market. So over the past 5 years, basically, you know, as we talked about, we've been rebranding the locations with the Nouria brand, while, you know, all at the same time really cultivating a family of proprietary brands in the CPG area, with the chips and candy and soda and food. Nouria's Cafe Nouria with the dispensed beverages, and Nouria's Kitchen with our commissary and MTO product, all with an aim to really create a superior value family of product. And I think, you know, in fact, an interesting story that I'll tell, in 2016, we introduced our first proprietary product in the candy and actually two products, candy and soda, before we even had the Nouria brand on our building, before even our first branded store. And the idea was there to introduce the product under our name to our customers so they can really feel and taste the value that they're receiving from a brand and the quality that obviously comes with our products, the products that we make for our customers. And earned us. I mean, many guests will ask, who's Nouria at the time when they look at the product? Is this your company? So that there was a lot of conversation about the brand before we even branded our first store, which is something obviously you want to do to get ready to introduce a great brand like Nouria.
And do you think, I mean, maybe Tony, I could ask you a question. I mean, regarding this proprietary brand, do you think that's a key part of I talked about convenience playbook, but is that a key part of the strategy, do you think, to have a lot of own label, own brand products in the store with your brand on that is helping it reinforce that message?
Absolutely. And I think people can relate. The brand is an abstract, right? So the Nouria brand is only felt through the experience they have in the stores. That's how they feel the brand and understand what the brand is. So one of the things that we do in terms of the products, we try to look at products under our My Nouria brand that really complement their counterpart national products. Not so much duplicate. What we want is an extension of what already exists, so that we can obviously gain organic growth in those categories. We don't want people to switch from one product to another. That doesn't help anybody. What we want is really to grow the category within that those products represent.
Who are your main competitors, Joe, in terms of the markets that you're in?
Well, our biggest competitor is ourselves. We focus on our own game strategy, quite honestly. We look outside for inspiration. Obviously, we have a lot of respect for our direct competitors. They do things differently than we do, and we do them differently because we are who we are. We are Nouria. We have unique opportunities and challenges, quite honestly. So we play by our own game plan, and that's our focus.
It's called leadership, isn't it? I mean, you have to lead the way, and everybody else can copy you if they can execute.
Right, and that's exactly the point. And I, double underline that. Execute. It is a product assortment. Everybody wants to be in food service, but the biggest difference that where companies separate themselves is really through execution. How they execute in a consistent manner. Every single transaction is what makes a difference in terms of how successful a company can be.
Let me ask you a little bit, as we stay on the competitor track, about coffee. So you are in a very unique market up in the Northeast where there's a particular orange and brown brand of coffee that is almost impossible sometimes to break through. I know Starbucks has problems even competing up in the Northeast with Dunkin' brands right there with you. How are you doing with coffee? How are you making that an outstanding choice for your customers?
Well, Carolyn, the New England market is highly competitive to coffee. We have two big players here dominating the market in Starbucks and Dunkin'. And they really do a good job with their core product. Where we compete is really on quality and freshness of our coffee. And by giving our customers the freedom to customize their beverage in more ways than our competitors, at a significantly lower price. So I think that's where I think you gain some market share in that space. Otherwise, obviously, these two companies are some of the best. You can do what they do, and you're going to lose, obviously. But if you do some things differently, hopefully you start gaining a market share.
Yeah, separating a New Englander from their giant extra large blueberry whatever from Dunkin' up there is next to impossible. I know,
That's
spending
right.
time up there. But speaking of fresh and blueberries, for instantly, this is how I know you. Is back in the day, you used to work when I worked at Nax, and we worked on United Fresh Produce Association. We worked on a lot of fresh, a lot of getting U.S. retailers on board with selling fresh produce, fresh items. But I think produce was one of those big, strong market leaders that we were hoping to grow, both for bottom line and also for other people's bottom line. In other words, getting America eating a little better by having more choices out there. So this is something that I know you work with a lot at Nouria. Can you talk to us a little bit about your journey down the fresh produce, especially side?
Yeah, and it seems like it's been ages ago, since we've done that project.
Yeah.
In 2014, but overall, I think fresh food is not for the you have to have a strong commitment from planning to execution, really, in this space. And quite honestly, we realized long ago that to be successful in the category, you must take in context not only those categories, but the entire business proposition, right? So, for example, if you can't have a meaningful business in, let's say, fresh bakery, right? You can't really have that. You can't be successful in this space unless you really have a quality, good coffee program, because it's all about the occasion. And produce is the same thing. Fresh produce, you can offer produce, but if your facilities are tired and you don't have really fresh food in the facility, you're not going to be successful. I mean, we have challenges enough with the supply chain when it comes to fresh produce. That's actually one of the challenges we were trying to address back in 2014. With United Fresh, is to work with the supply chain on ensuring that we had a way to obviously get the product directly from the suppliers. Today, there are many hands in the process. By the time it gets to you, it goes through a number of either brokers or wholesalers to get to you. And by the time it gets to you, it's not as fresh as you want it to be. Plus, the assortment isn't there. So our plan, and I can tell you that, as I did in my past experience, the plan is to build our own commissary with a distribution center where we can have the assortment we want in our stores delivered freshly at least 3 times a week to the stores.
Wow.
And that's really the commitment you need and the investment you need in fresh food, not just produce, but bakery, commissary. Those are things that companies like us, especially with our size today, need to focus on and need to invest in for the future.
One of the things, just reading what we wrote about you in the article, and looking at some of the sort of the real winners in our industry worldwide. I mentioned 7-Eleven in Denmark to you as one of these companies recently who seem to be doing this. I'd say Circle K in Hong Kong and Marks and Spencer's in the UK. They've all done it. They're all famous in their markets for being the place where consumers want to go to find something new. That might be a new taste. It might be something that's a new trend. But I was just very interested that you feel that's very important too, because I think you're definitely onto something. Tony, would you like to comment on that as well as Joe? In terms of why is it important for our industry to offer newness?
We know we can execute on the food service side, and the other thing is really strategic and long-term goal for us is to create a product that clearly differentiate us from our competitors. We have a very competitive market here, and one way for us to differentiate again is through food service. Also, when you look at the C-store business, core categories a few years ago used to be in the tobacco, and obviously fuel continues to be a core category, but those trends are not looking so good, right? So they've been declining for years. So one way for us to really grow the business organically is through food service. And I'm not saying just strictly in the opportunity is not only in MTO, but also in the take-home business. We've seen a number of companies who lately have, especially through the pandemic, where they create meals and ship them to homes. I think we have a great opportunity there to cut the middleman in terms of delivery, where people can, we can make those meals and have them ready for people when on their way home. They can pick them up at a much more reasonable price point. So I think the opportunities in food are tremendous. And that's why I'm very optimistic about how not only our company is really evolving, but also the industry. Because I do believe, tide lifts all boats, and really that helps not just us, but also helps our competitors when we're doing something well in food service.
Absolutely. Tony, do you agree on the?
I will add one more item. Is we're doing what we're doing by listening to our customers. What do they like to see in Nouria? What do they want us to offer in Nouria? And we're dictating to them. So whatever our offers are in our stores today are really direct requests from our customers to what they would love to see in our stores.
You got to listen to customers. I guess the other big challenge for our industry is improving the experience, isn't it? As you talked about some declining categories, and we're under pressure there, but we've also got, obviously more in Europe, we've got the energy transition and longer dwell times potentially in store if we're charging vehicles on the site. And I like the work you're doing in terms of attracting more female customers, focusing on, wash restrooms and making sure that, they're incredibly high standard, incredibly clean. It's a great experience. That's pretty important, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yes, it is. I'm gonna tell you, I wanna go back then for 1 second on the food one more time and the quality. You mentioned the quality. 20 years ago, you used to go and have a hot dog at the station. That's it. And the quality wasn't there. Now we strive for best qualities, and now the customers, our guests, are going in and having really a quality meal. And that's where the food service is growing in our network. And this is why we're growing the food in our stores, as we're seeing the successes in the stores we rolled the food in. And this is where we're growing our market. Regarding the facility, the cleanness, and the bathrooms, it is very important. We hear it day after day after day that bathrooms are one of the priority to our guests, female and male, to make sure the facilities are clean. And that's why now we're building facilities with bigger restrooms. We're building facilities where we're putting the restrooms on the outside walls so we can put windows to bring natural light into them so they don't feel claustrophobic. We're building bigger, cleaner facilities. They ask us not to stuff the stores when we're building our store, our convenience, where keep the aisles away from each other so they can feel comfortable walking around without two people walking across each other and touching each other. And that's why you see in our sites, the aisles are much wider, the aisles are much lower, and the stores are bigger. From the forecourt and the outside, you will see a lot of lightings. And that's safety. That's safety for our customers. That's safety for the moms who has their kids in the cars and they don't want to leave the cars. So that's why our facilities are so spacious now, are well lit. If you notice now, I see a picture in the background. This is one other thing we do is high ceilings. So they feel you're in a much comfortable zone while you're shopping with us at Nouria.
Very welcoming. That's
No,
for sure.
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, to add to what Tony's saying, I mean, that's really important to us because we are really, positioning the brand as a modern and relevant to our customers. So we have to make sure, obviously, that everything that we're trying to communicate with our customers or share with our customers is reflected in our store design, in our offerings, in the amenities that we provide, especially the bathrooms. The in-store experience very important to us, and essentially, in the C-store world, most customers expect the shopping trip to be about the transaction, right? It's transactional. We want to build a relationship with our customers where the customer experience is really pleasant in our stores. When we actually designed the stores, one of the things that we said, okay, what do we want the stores to look, outside the forecourt, like Tony shared, and inside the store, so we looked at every aspect of the design to ensure that again our strategy for and what the brand should look like is being put to action. So inside the store, you see eye-catching, inspiring artwork that really reflects our quest to attract female and younger shoppers to our stores. We offer flowers and things that, wide variety of flowers, by the way, and wide variety of healthy foods and new age beverages, again, to appeal to the female, younger shopper. Tony talked about the bathrooms, and I think we do have maybe some of the most expensive bathrooms in terms of build. We have inside the stores, we posted QR codes where customers can communicate to us how they feel about the bathrooms. And I get every single email that customers send from our bathrooms. And so that's one way for us to improve as we deliver that experience. Believe it or not, one of the things that we feel is that we, like many of the C-store retailers out there, customers there's actually sometimes more customers use the bathrooms than buying product from you, or use use the trash barrels to empty or clean their cars and things of that nature. So I think making sure that you have clean bathrooms really reflect on the type of staff you have there. And if people have the confidence in your staff, then they have a confidence in your food, they have a confidence in your ability to deliver quality coffee and dispense beverages and things of that nature.
Guys, just thinking about bringing things to a conclusion and thinking about the future. This business is 33 years old. You've got to a good size, but your plans don't end here, do they? You've got the next 10 years is going to be exciting. So I understand.
Yes, indeed. The next 10 years is going to be an exciting 10 years. Last year, we set our company goal to quadruple Nouria. And some people will say, quadruple what? But our history shows that we double our chain every 5 years. So we have proven records that any goals we set, we already reached. For Nouria, we are going to quadruple Nouria in the next 10 years, and we're well on our way to that. We will do it through multiple timelines and multiple businesses. We have been growing our chain through acquisitions and through NTIs. We will continue to look aggressively at acquisitions, and we cannot quadruple Nouria staying regional. So we have opened the cap to go on the national level where opportunity arises. And if the acquisition makes sense to us, we will make sure we take our chance at it. In the meantime, we will continue to organically grow by keeping our pipeline full of new NTIs so we can continue building that line of business. As well, in the next 48 months, we will brand every store Nouria. So company-wide, whatever stores we wanted to move from a regular store to a Nouria store, it will be done in the next 48 months. So we have a very aggressive business plan. I allocated the budgets for them, and we are well underway to finish that side of the business. In the meantime, as you know, we have a robust car wash system that we operate under Golden Nozzle. As soon as we finish with the Nouria rebranding of all our stores, we will venture into branding the entire car wash network to Nouria as well. So we take all the confusion away from our customers. We have car washes standalone, above and beyond, we have car washes on some of our sites. But the entire network that we will be operating, to the customers, we will be one: Nouria, Nouria Wash, Nouria Cafe, Nouria's Kitchen, Nouria's Fuel, Nouria C-Store. And with that, we can eliminate all the confusion that the consumers have, or our customers have, that they're going to the Shell down the street or the BP on the other corner. Now they're coming to Nouria. And this is what we are trying to achieve with the rebranding. What I'll tell you from my experience that we have seen since we branded our stores Nouria, the customers are more able. I don't want to say able is the wrong word. Accepting us with the food service. Now we're the corner store of the neighborhood. We are not the oil company that happens to have convenience store. Now we are the convenience store of the neighborhood that happens to have a fuel. And this is the change we're seeing in our market.
Well, look, guys, it's been a pleasure having you on. You know, Joe and Tony, you know, we're really impressed. The whole industry is impressed with your strategy. A lot of people wish they had the Nouria brand now, and I think when there's 600 stores in 10 years' time, you know, it's obviously going to be one of the big stories in our industry. So, thank you very much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure, and you know, we're wishing you the very best of luck for the future, and look forward to coming to see you soon, hopefully.
Thank you, Dan.